make it hit faster, or make it hit harder, but it's the cost of speed. I think that's super cool. Anyways, next up is Pokemon Ruby, any percent by Blue Magma. We do have a poll going at the moment for that. It is Pokemon named the Tentacruel. Currently, the winning bid is Kitsune, $50. Behind that, it's Dayman 25, and Shoo at 20. And also Booch and Pear Strike at 0. You should give them some love. I'm sure they would appreciate it. But yeah, Kitsune, Dayman, and Shu, first, second, third. So we still have a couple more minutes to get those donations in if you wanna, snipe for your choice. And also, we also have the worst vegetable. Currently, it's green beans at $52 winning. Close behind that is Brussels sprouts at 45, followed by lettuce at 25. Although I do not think it should be on here because how are you gonna eat a salad without lettuce? And then asparagus at 20, which I kind of agree with. It does make your pee smell bad, and is pretty gross raw, cooked with some butter, but probably be pretty tasty next to some steak. And then at the last, where it should be, spinach, because spinach is delicious. With spinach, yeah, well, spinach is also on the poll, which means, why are two good salad ingredients on there? I think kale should be on there. Best use for lettuce is throwing in the trash. I would say it's probably feeding it to animals. Also, you're insane for thinking that lettuce is disgusting. It's good. It like you've got so many different kinds too. You got butter lettuce, you got iceberg lettuce, I could probably name another type of lettuce. Romaine. There you go. Spring mix. I don't know if that's a lettuce. I think that's just greens. Yeah, like Emily, I see you've woken up from your nap. Have you given my my $1 million choice any more thought? Anyway. I'm currently waiting for CJ to sort of pass the baton off. I actually have a wedding to go to tomorrow. It is not my wedding because I am single. By choice. Summer crisp lettuce. I've never heard of it, but that sounds pretty good. It's kind of like the hidden gem, sugar snap peas. Super tasty. Summer crisp lettuce. Yeah, that sounds actually pretty delicious. Like a nice. Hear that, ladies? He's single. Yeah. Well, don't get your hopes up because I don't know. Celtus? I don't know how to pronounce that. Enlighten me. Somebody's DMing me? Why? But for the amount and something so... Yeah, I don't know if it's inconsequential, but, Hey. Celtus. Thank you for the, what is it? Britannica definition. Stem lettuce. That actually sounds disgusting. You have now ruined it. I'll stick with Celtus. A lot of lettuce varieties. I'm gonna stick with iceberg because it's good. But I might try summer crisp because it kind of sounds like a nice oh, I'm gonna have some summer crisp lettuce, you know, like with like my slice of watermelon on like a nice summer day. Yeah, sounds pretty refreshing, to be honest. You go for like a nice bike ride, you get your summer crisp lettuce salad with like sliced strawberries and pureed blueberries. I don't know. Something really bougie that's like, you know, all that. Hmm. I have not gotten any instruction to stop hosting, so I'm gonna keep talking, um, the best of my ability. Um, yeah, for anybody who's still joining us, this is Speed Doxathon. We've got a 2-week bonanza of speed running, where you've just entered the Pokemon block. We've got Pokemon Ruby coming up by Blue Magma. This marathon is not sponsored. It's benefiting Save the Children charity, which which puts their money towards early childhood education and also like reducing newborn deaths in third world countries. And any donation that you send us can help us, or can help them, but can also be put towards incentives seen through the donation on the Tiltify. Yeah. Starfruit's pretty good. The bougie fruit, I mean, dragon fruit tastes disgusting, but it does look cool. It does sound extravagant, but I would probably say like guava. Guava is a pretty good fancy fruit. Or like jackfruit or papaya. Or lychee, I think it is. Boysenberry. Blackcurrant. Papaya. I don't know. CC vehemently hates papaya. He believes it tastes like a wet fart. Is I believe the description he gave me. They don't taste very good. And I also agree with him. Papaya is kind of disgusting. Yeah, I mean, you can hear it from him. Papaya is fine. It's not fine. CC has a papaya story he can tell you. It's ask CC about the papaya story when he went rafting, about how he was like given a half a papaya and he's like, this tastes disgusting. It tastes like a wet fart. I mean, I think cantaloupe is probably better than papaya, personally. Although I'm more fashioned to honeydew. I like honeydew. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think probably like the most expensive bougie fruit is probably like there is a yes, hi Mr. Handoff. I was just saying there is a special variety of pears that are like really expensive, and I think that the pears can be pretty bougie. Hello, CJ. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing all right, buddy. How about yourself?
I am also doing all right. I have to go to my cousin's wedding tomorrow, tomorrow night. But
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Is that something people say during weddings?
Yes.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know because I've never gotten married. So.
What's the most bougie fruit? I'm gonna go with passion fruit there, my guy.
Yo, passion fruit?
Right.
I also say maybe a pomegranate.
Ooh, pomegranate's up there, yeah. Yeah, because you know why people order pomegranate reductions, and reductions are bougie. Dragon fruit up there as well.
Dragon fruit does not taste very good, but it does look super cool, I will say.
Alrighty. Well, Matt, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for giving me a time slot this week. I know you are talking a lot this week, and I just wanted to save your voice.
Well, thank you.
It was awesome being on a Pokemon run because, you know, I don't really play Pokemon anymore, so it's interesting to see a speed run like that.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. Give it up for Matt. Shout out Aged Whale, A Whale in the chat.
A Whale, Aged Whale. Yeah.
We'll see you around this weekend, I'm sure, even though you will be at a wedding tomorrow. We'll see you day 3 and day 4.
Yeah, Sunday night, Monday as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, bud.
Alrighty. Have a lovely night, everybody.
All right. Finally, CJ has come back to Estat! Hello, everyone, and welcome to Estat. I'm finally... Someone let me out of my cage. It is good to be here on day 4. I'm going to be your host through the end of day 4. It's going to be a theme that we're going to be running with. I'm going to be here a lot with you guys. I am on the schedule to do 25 hours of mic time. That includes runs. I'm playing Mario Kart. We're doing the game show. I'm doing Only Up. If that gets met, that'll be tomorrow. 25 hours. Yeah. So, and I'm starting it right here with y'all. Got to make sure that I keep my voice hydrated. Time for me is nothing. All right. So obviously great runs today. I'm standing at work, like trying to get the hot tag. I'm bouncing up and down, waiting for the tag in. I'm waiting to get out of work. I'm waiting to storm down the ramp and charge into the ring all day. I get home, I eat, and then I stopped feeling good. I felt bad, and I ended up laying down for a little bit. Like, I was a little groggy. Shout out to Grace, told me to eat a peppermint, so I had a peppermint patty. And then I was rejuvenated. The glass broke. I came down the ramp like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and here I am. So, we've got 2 runs left for the end of the day. Did I drink a bunch of beers? I poured them in the vicinity of my face. It's dubious at best whether or not they got in my mouth. We have 2 runs left for the rest of the day. We have Pokemon Ruby Any Percent by Blue Magma. And we have Super Smash Bros. 64 Unlock All Characters by West Dog. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I don't want to put it off any longer than we have to. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to hear from our friends. We're going to hear from the charity. And when we get back, we'll be live with Pokemon Ruby Any Percent by Blue Magma. Don't go touching that dial. We'll be right back.
Kabatia. Way macaan yahay. Ari waa lahayn ari waxaa baabisay cimilada kulul iyo abaar dhulka ah anaga marka saas baa la soo guurnay. Awiya xanuustay xanuun baa ku dhacay shuun dad ah hooyo ka soo qaaday isbitaalkii keentay. caafimaad waa ilaa waa soo caafimaaday way fiican tahay marka la ciyaarayo waa ka qoslaysiyaa markastana waa la ciyaaraa waa nin mahad celiya oo ilaashan oo xanuunsan dhakhtarka noo geysan oo noo caafimaadiseen kulliin waa nin mahad celiya.
All right, everyone, here we are. We're back. Just as promised, we didn't go anywhere. I am here with Blue Magma, and he's going to tell you what we're doing today.
Hello, everybody. All right, so this is Pokemon Ruby. Any percent. This is kind of not the first time, but basically the first time that this category has been shown at a marathon. This category is brand new. Really only within the last couple months did this get added as an official category to the leaderboards. The reasoning for this is that until very recently we did not know that any glitches in this game were actually possible on the English version, which is kind of just the community standard. It's what most people have, it's what most people run on. So there wasn't very much interest in it, just because originally we only thought that they worked on the Japanese version of the game. But I recently discovered the English version of these glitches, and so we've been pouring a lot of work into coming up with a route and optimizing it as much as possible.
All right. Well, whenever you're ready, give us a countdown and we'll get this show on the road.
All right. Yeah, so right as I press new game is when the timer will start. I'll count down from 3 and then we'll start on go. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, there was recently, for those of you in the audience that are kind of into the Pokemon games, PulseFX is a pretty big YouTuber that makes videos on kind of speedrun news for the Pokemon games. He recently released a video about these glitches, so some of you may have seen that already. It's very convoluted at times. The setup seems a little bit confusing. I'll try my best to walk you through it as we go, but you can do some really cool stuff. This category at the moment saves about 5 minutes compared to the glitchless world record, so not a crazy difference yet. You know, there are some games where glitched versus glitchless is like hours of difference, but the goal is to eventually you know, keep dropping that time lower and lower until we can see really how fast this game can go. We are naming ourselves A. Pretty standard. The game prints one character every frame, so by naming ourselves A, we save frames throughout the run. This is really just cutscene stuff. For those of you that have seen any of the older gen Pokemon speedruns, or even Gen 3 specifically, a lot of these games start out with a RNG manip for the starter. A lot of games rely on the starter for a pretty decent portion of the game. Normally these are one frame windows. You have to be frame perfect to get the starter with the stats and the nature that you want. These are all just things that affect how good the Pokemon is. This category, as a minor spoiler, we will not be using our starter much past the first gym. So the Manip is not as hard as a lot of the other games, and it's not as hard as Glitchless. It's still a 2-frame window, which I'll try to get here. But at least it's not a 1-framer, which, you know, is always very frustrating to go for. So this is one of the two. This is the worst one, unfortunately. Okay. So this is the worst of the two options. As I mentioned, normally it's a 1-frame window. Now it's a 2-frame window. You want the first frame, and we ended up getting the second frame. For this run, both are usable. The worst one really only loses maybe 10 seconds compared to the first one, so it's not a huge deal. But I will definitely take a first try. This took me like 8 tries on some of the other showcases of this. So 2 frames at 60 FPS, definitely not super easy, but it is much better than 1 frame. Again, we are naming our Mudkip A for the same reason we name ourselves A. It just saves frames over the course of the run. It just adds up over time. I probably should.
We are going to name the Tentacruel. Sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead.
We are going to name the Tentacruel, and speaking of that, I believe Kitsune is still in the lead. So if you want to donate for what we'll name the Tentacruel, when that comes up, you still have like a half hour. So get those donations in.
Yep, we got, yeah, about 30 minutes, depending on, there's a decent amount of RNG here in the early game, so it'll depend a little bit on how well all that goes. Okay, we did not die to the first real fight of the game, so that's good. You might have noticed we didn't get any encounters walking through all that grass to go fight our rival. That was not just really good luck. There's a lot of RNG manipulation that goes into this game. That was what we call an extended or a chain RNG manipulation. So because we know that we got a certain Mudkip, we know what RNG frame we're currently on, and we can use that to time a few more inputs. And by reacting to NPCs, we can tell specifically what RNG frame we're on, and we can take movement, or we can do specific movements to avoid any encounters in that first section, which is really neat. Each encounter would lose about 10 seconds. Generally, you're gonna get 1 or 2 of them at least, if you don't go for the extended manip. Yeah, those of you that have maybe seen Sapphire before, you might be wondering why, well, for one, you might be wondering why we're doing Ruby instead of Sapphire. I'll point that out a little bit later as it becomes relevant. But if you've seen the Sapphire glitchless run, so far everything has been identical for the most part, but right after this next battle is where things will start getting different. That route was not an RNG manip, that was just very lucky. Generally you average about 1 encounter there. There has been some work to try to further extend the RNG manipulation to avoid those encounters as well, but that's still a work in progress. For those of you that aren't super familiar with Pokemon mechanics, there's something in this game called a speed tie, which is where, oh my gosh, if both Pokemon have the same speed stat, it will be a 50-50 to determine who goes first. And this Mudkip and this Zigzagoon are speed tied, which makes this fight just very hard to predict. There's a lot of times where, you know, if you lose a speed tie, you might lose the battle, but if you win it, then it's no problem. Luckily, we didn't get killed there, but it is definitely a possibility. Okay, this is where things get different. Awesome. Okay, that first one, it requires really good mashing and is a 3-frame window. The reason why you might see me delay opening the bag and stuff like that is, again, RNG manipulation. I have a timer program that helps me do that. Awesome. Okay, we'll see if this gets in the ball. This RNG manip is a little tricky. Awesome. Okay, we have hit first try everything so far, so this is a very, very good start. Yeah, generally the more you chain RNG, the harder it gets. But doing the initial ones is not as bad as you might think. Once you learn how to use that timer program that I mentioned, it's really just a matter of learning the rhythm and just pressing A at the right time. It's not too bad once you practice it. Coming up here is just a little tutorial cutscene for a little while, for a couple minutes, so we got some downtime. To explain why we just caught 2 Zigzagoons for seemingly no reason, there's a couple roles that they play. The first one you'll see in probably 5 to 6 minutes. It's not this Zigzagoon. For those that are wondering, it is actually possible for this Zigzagoon to kill this Ralts and end the tutorial faster than normal, save about 30 seconds, but it's a very, very low chance. And with the way that RNG works, you know, we're already manipping everything, it's not really feasible to do so for this fight. We would have to wait way longer to find a suitable RNG frame, so we'd be waiting more than 30 seconds just to save 30 seconds. But it can happen. With a TAS, you can do it just because you have more control over what your RNG seed is, a whole bunch of complicated stuff that I don't fully understand. So yeah, that's the end of the tutorial. We are not letting up on the RNG manips yet. We're doing another one right here. This one is similar to that first Zigzagoon, where it is also a 3-frame window, but you also have to react to the NPC, that lower NPC. You have to watch where he moves. to determine what movement you need to take to get this Wingull. This Wingull will always have the same stats and everything, and then again we do a timing to always catch it in the ball. We are running a little low on potions, so I will definitely save. Honestly, even if we weren't low on potions, I would definitely save for this upcoming fight. For those of you that have played Pokemon casually, you might know of a move called Sand Attack that you probably do not like. Sand Attack lowers accuracy, which controls whether or not you hit your moves. It gets very, very annoying because you might start, well, yeah, you might get one sand attack and then you start missing your moves, and then you get more sand attacks and then you miss more of your moves, and then you're just sitting there crying until you finally hit the last tackle that you need. Yep, there it is. Okay, we're still hitting. Also, in this generation, until Generation 5, I believe, Tackle is 95% accurate, so it's actually not even a guaranteed hit without any Sand Attacks. So Sand Attack makes it even worse. Oh boy. This might be where it starts. Getting crit a lot is a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, potion count is not looking great, but we should be okay. Honestly, this is a very solid start though. Not much has gone wrong yet. There's a lot that can go wrong within the first 30 minutes or so. Although, one thing I do like about this category is after about the 30 to 45 minute mark, things get very, I don't want to say easy, but much less RNG heavy. You might, you know, see Pokemon speedruns like we saw Etiquette do, and see a lot of reliance on RNG, just making sure or hoping that it goes your way, and kind of getting in trouble if it doesn't. This category is really cool because you really don't have to deal with that for the second half of the run, or for after the first third of the run or so. Here's one reason we caught this Wingull. We'll use it to fly later on in the game. But one reason we use it is because we can do this. We can get this Geodude down to very low HP. The Wingull RNG manipulation is actually calculated to have a Wingull with very specific stats so that it will not kill the Geodude in one hit, but it will do enough damage that Mudkip can come back in and finish it off with a Mud Slap. So it's a really, really cool strat. The HP works out really well with that. The reason why we need to let Wingull die is because if Wingull survives and you just switch to Mudkip, the experience you get will be split between Wingull and Mudkip, and we really need Mudkip to hit level 10, because that's when it learns Water Gun. Water Gun really tears through the rest of these Geodudes, because they're 4 times weak to it. Oops. But Mud Slap really does not do that much. So we were really hoping to see a rare candy there, but instead we'll have to do it the hard way. With, yes, you guessed it, another RNG manipulation. This one is probably the hardest one in the run. So we're timing the entry into the battle here. Manipping battles is pretty difficult because the RNG actually moves at twice the normal speed while you're in a battle. So you have to time not only the ending of the battle, but also the entrance to the battle. That is 1 frame late. Very close. This is a sort of a 1 frame window, sort of a 2 frame window. It's a little bit complicated. But basically half of the time it's a 1 frame, half of the time it's a 2 frame. So it's very tricky. There we go. Second try. We'll take that. Here is the first gym leader of the game. Kind of the first boss, quote unquote. Oh, definitely gonna save for her. But yeah, missing that rare candy manip is a little bit punishing. Loses about 30 seconds for each time you try it. Definitely the hardest part about the run in terms of execution. This is one position where the slightly worse Mudkip struggles a little bit. I mentioned speed ties earlier. This is a case where normally you would be faster than this nose pass, but in this case we actually are speed tied with it. Didn't have to really deal with it though. We got a very lucky critical hit. I will not complain about that at all. There we go. First gym badge down. We will be getting our new Pokemon of choice before the second gym.
Okay.
Yes.
If you want to get your donations in to name Tentacruel, you're running out of time.
Yep. If you want to name it, you and believe me, you will be getting your full value out of your money. This thing shows up in quite a few battles. So it'll be on the screen quite a lot.
You heard the man. Get your donations in. Give me something to read.
One thing that I didn't mention yet is step count. Step count is something that I am basically constantly managing behind the scenes while I'm doing all of this. So I'm being very careful to take the correct path every time and take the same amount of steps every time. I did take 2 extra steps accidentally after I left the gym, which will be fine. It's just something that I have to keep in the back of my mind now. The technical reasoning behind it is because every 256 steps that you take, the RNG frame that you're on, or the RNG value, will actually advance by the number of Pokemon that you have in your party. Which, if that happens at a time that you didn't expect, the RNG manipulations that you would normally do will just not work, which can be pretty annoying. 2 extra steps is totally fine. It's just any more than that and we might get a little bit sketchy. You might have seen me kind of walk past a lot of those trainers very confidently, without any fear of being seen. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into exactly how those trainers turn, but But the gist of it is they each have timers that whenever that timer reaches 0, it makes them turn. They can turn to face the same direction that they're already facing, so they'll just stay facing down if they're already facing down, or they can spin to face up if it's, you know, a trainer that only looks down and up. We can do specific things like running. When you run right next to a trainer, it will reset their timer. And so certain trainers you can just run next to and then immediately walk, and they'll never be able to see you. Certain trainers we see that we flashed the pause menu for a little bit. That's a little bit of a more complicated setup, but it has the same effect. You just saw right there, we walked around her, kind of taking a circle, and she is never able to see us if we do that properly. This trainer is not one that you would normally fight in the glitchless route. But we do it here for a couple reasons. It gives us a consistent source of experience, which we need to just barely hit level 16 by the end of the next section. And 2, it gives us a lot of money. That guy has 1,400 Pokédollars, which lets us skip some selling later on. Gives us just enough money to buy everything that we need without selling any of our extra items. Alright, and you guessed it, we are not done with RNG manipulations. Here we're doing one for an Abra. Abra is useful in glitchless because it knows teleport, which in Generation 3, teleport will bring you back to the most recent Pokemon Center that you entered. And that's useful in this category as well. But it's also useful because it's a higher level than the Zigzagoons we caught earlier, and it learns the move Thief, which is a big component in the glitches that we'll see in the next 10 minutes or so. I forgot to nickname the Abra. Normally you also nickname it A, which only saves a couple seconds throughout the course of the run. In glitchless you actually don't nickname it. It's not worth it, so I run a lot of glitched and glitchless, so sometimes that muscle memory gets a little bit confusing trying to manage both categories. Normally you would talk to this NPC, Steven. You'd normally talk to him from the left or the right side, because now he's gonna have to walk around me, which walking is slower than running, so it's gonna be slower for him to walk all the way around us rather than us just talking to him from the side. But like I mentioned earlier, step count is very important, and doing that will save 2 steps, and I took 2 steps extra earlier. So now our step count is right where we want it to be. You might be wondering, wait, isn't there a gym down there? Why are we not going to the gym? In glitchless, we would have already gone to the gym. But in this game, it's not mandatory to fight that gym leader until you want to... How would I best say that? You can delay it until your 4th gym badge if you want to. Normally it's like your 2nd gym badge, but you can make it your 3rd or 4th gym badge if you want to. The game doesn't require you to actually get that badge until later on in the run. And we're still very low levels, so we want to avoid that for as long as possible, at least until we can beat it pretty easily. Oops. Just showing off. I only have 1 badge, just to prove my point. Definitely not a misinput there at all.
The flex.
Yep. Showing how much money I have as well. You know, major flex. Alright.
Ain't nobody dope as me. Sorry.
No, you're good. Beautiful singing.
Thank you.
This right here is why we play Ruby instead of Sapphire for this category specifically. Numel is 4 times weak to water, and Water Gun just tears through this thing. No problem at all. This Zubat will be a different story coming up. But in Sapphire, they have not Numels, they have Carvanhas, which are water types. Water resists water, so that makes this fight way, way worse on the Sapphire version. In Glitchless, you would already be a Marshtomp at this point, and you would have Mudshot, which also tears through the Carvanhas. But for the sake of this run, we don't want that extra experience. We didn't fight Brawly already, the 2nd gym leader, so we really can't deal with the Carvanhas. We got a very lucky Supersonic miss there, by the way, on that Zubat. That move is 55% accurate, so it's a little bit better than a coin flip for it to hit me. But if it does hit me, we can get in a lot of trouble. I wish I could say we are done with RNG manipulations, but we are not. We have 1 more in the run. And it'll be coming up relatively soon. But then I promise we're done. Just a reminder that Tentacruel nickname, which is what we'll be using, spoiler alert, will be coming up soon, probably in the next 5 minutes or so. So getting that name in, get your donations in, get your bids if you want to change what we nickname it.
Yes, if you don't want it to be named Kitsune, get those donations in. The other options are Booch, Shu, Dayman is an option. All are viable. So get those donations in.
That would be a great breath of fresh air after we just name everything A. I'm a little bit tired of naming everything A, if I'm being honest.
This is a safe place to share.
Alright, you might have noticed, and this is where things get a little wacky, but bear with me. You might have noticed that we got Thief from that NPC in there, and we just bought 71 Harbor Mails, which, if you've ever played this game, might seem very weird. They're very useless items. They're really only meant to be used with like other players with the link cable. But you'll see why they're useful here in a bit. Okay, Ultra Ball is kind of a nice backup, actually. These Zigzagoons can sometimes pick up some useful items. 2 Ultra Balls. Okay, we got double backup. Very nice. So we're just filling these with whatever phrase we want, which the fastest happens to be Abra, coincidentally, but I do find it fitting that we have an Abra in our party as well. we are gonna save for this fight. This fight is the crux of the glitches in this game. Not this fight specifically, but in this route, it is this fight specifically. Really, it's just any double battle that acts as kind of the reactor for the glitch. You'll see that Abra is going to use Thief on Marshtomp. Hopefully. As long as it doesn't die. Marshtomp is holding a male, and Abra is going to steal it by committing mail fraud, or I don't know if that's what it's called, but I'm pretty sure that's a federal crime, so don't try this at home. So Abra is now holding the mail. That's a very unfortunate miss. Mudshot is 95% accurate as well, so this game has a lot of 95% accurate moves. So the Abra is now quote-unquote holding the mail, but not exactly, which we'll see here in a moment. Okay. This fight went very slow. This fight can be really annoying, just because these things love to spam growl, which lowers your attack. And Mudshot is a physical move in this generation. In Generation 3, the moves themselves don't have specific physical or special attributes. It's solely based on the type of the move, so all ground type moves are physical. Alright, and so now we are taking this mail, sending it to our PC. Oops, that's not what I wanted. And then we are teleporting. Alright, and blink and you'll miss it, but there's a little bit of a weird thing here. And then again, it's pretty fast, but you'll see another kind of weird thing here.
What in tarnation?
Alright, the setup I know is a little convoluted, but it's working now. We are now generating rare candies for free. So if you watch the bag, every time we go to the bag, the rare candy count increases and the harbor mail count decreases. So we had to buy all of those harbor mails to convert them into rare candies. We'll be doing this for a while. Not too long, but you know, a few minutes. Takes a while to get each rare candy, like 4 or 5 seconds, give or take.
Why does that work?
Very good question. Very
It just does.
That is the big question, and I could talk for hours about the specifics of this glitch. The kind of abridged summary is that this game only ever intends for you to equip 6 pieces of mail at any given time, because you can only ever have 6 Pokemon in your party. We kind of bypass that. So you cannot deposit Pokemon into your PC, like you can't store them while they're holding a piece of mail. So the game really tried to prevent you from equipping more than 6 pieces of mail at any given time. Now, by using Thief on an item on a Pokemon that's holding a mail, the mail gets moved from one Pokemon to another, but they didn't account for all of it properly. Normally when you take a mail away from a Pokemon, it's supposed to mark that mail as gone. But when we use Thief in battle, the game skips that step. So the game really thinks that Marshtomp is actually holding 2 pieces of mail at the same time after we thief that mail from Abra and then give him another mail. And the reverse is sort of true for Abra, which won't really be relevant for this run. But Abra is now holding a male, but the game doesn't actually register it as holding a male. And so some funky stuff happens with that isn't really useful for the speedrun yet. But it does go both ways in that sense. Now, originally, we thought that this was only possible with 6 Pokemon in your party, which would make sense because you need to fill up 2 of the slots on Marshtomp, and so then you have all 6, and then Abra would be your 7th, your magical number 7, which allows you to do all this crazy stuff. What we realized, though, is when we entered the Pokemon Center, opened our mailbox, and there was that mail with that really weird name, that's actually another method of activating the same glitch. So that mail is not really a mail. It doesn't have the correct ID within the game's code to act as a mail. So when we equip it to Marshtomp, the game doesn't know what it is, which is why we have this question mark item in our bag. That's kind of the game's default whenever it doesn't know what an item's name is supposed to be. But because we gave it to Marshtomp through the mailbox, the game runs the same sort of code as it would for equipping a new piece of mail. And so that allows us to actually activate this glitch with only 5 Pokemon in our party, which is really cool. Okay, and so I know we saved and reset, so you might think that we're doing our RNG manip, and we are, I promise, but we have to do a little bit more of this first. This strat is really cool. I was very proud of this one. I'll explain why later, but we need to wait for a little while, and we don't just want to be sitting here twiddling our thumbs while we wait. So we want to be doing something productive, like generating more rare candies, which is exactly what we'll do. Another side effect of kind of equipping this 7th piece of mail is what you'll see here in just a moment. Watch what happens when I try to equip a mail to Abra from this menu. More question marks. Now we do our manip. Ta-da! Alright, I'm gonna need that nickname soon.
You got it.
It might have been a little bit early on this timing, we'll see.
Jesus, this thing's beefy.
There we go. Alright, and here is our girl for the rest of the run.
Alright. It's gonna be Kitsune.
I'm assuming that's K-I-T...
S-U-N-E.
S-U-N-E. Alright, we're doing all caps in the spirit of the
there you go.
Gen 3 games.
You walked on water and found Kitsune. There you go.
Beautiful. Our queen.
So now we're gonna power level this thing to 100.
Exactly, you guessed it. Yep, and we will beat the game with this thing.
I have little doubt.
Yeah, one thing we kind of glossed over because I was focusing on the nickname and the RNG manipulation itself. We walked on water to get this. We are currently standing on water. Saw that we kind of ran through where that fence would normally be. Very wacky stuff. The reason we're able to do that, and this was a strat that I came up with a while back and we've now finally implemented. The biggest time loss of this level 100 strat is getting all the rare candies and using all the rare candies. By far, that's where you lose the most time. However, we can circumvent that as much as possible by doing another glitch, which we call tile corruption. When we gave that mail to Abra, we saw that it was full of question marks. The reason, again, is because the game does not like when we equip a 7th piece of mail. And the game normally uses those numbers 1 through 6 to tell the computer inside of the game where are we storing this data? Where are we storing the messages that the player is writing? And normally it does that fine because it knows, okay, this is mail number 1, let's store it in the first slot. But when we get to mail number 7, it's actually not mail number 7 because the game doesn't know how to handle mail number 7. So the game sets it to the maximum, which is mail number 255. Which means that the game, when it goes to store those messages that you type in your mail, it goes way farther than it's supposed to. And it just so happens that that manages to corrupt the tiles, of the game, of the map that you're currently in. And it just so happens to line up that we can corrupt these tiles here in Slateport and run out onto the water. Now, when the game is giving you an encounter, all it checks for is what type of thing am I standing on? Am I standing on water? If so, then give me the water encounters. If I'm standing on grass, give me the grass encounters. So normally you would not be able to get a level 35 this early in the game because there's no way to get onto the water normally until you get surf, which is the 5th badge is what you need to get surf. So it takes quite a while. But by doing this tile corruption glitch, we can actually walk on water right here and get a level 35 instead of, our poor little Marshtomp over there still at level 16. That would take, 19 more candies to get to level 100, which saves quite a few minutes of just not needing to use these candies. There's some nuance that goes into the specific stats of the Tentacool that you hit. We still haven't worked out all the fine details of it. There's one that has more special attack and one that has less special attack. We got the one with less special attack, but it should not make a difference for this route. We're gonna make sure to put our Queen Kitsune in slot 1 because she is going to be bringing it home from here on out. So yeah,
she's gonna destroy the beach.
She's gonna destroy everything, honestly. So yeah, that was a massive information dump, I know. It's a very convoluted setup. I won't say that these glitches are brand new, because people did know about them many years ago. It's really only recently that we've actually applied them to the English version of the game and applied them to the speedrun as much as possible.
So we're just gonna wreck shop the rest of the run. That's what we're doing.
Yes. There's some cool movement though.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any Pokemon that pose a challenge at all?
Yes, actually. Believe it or not, there definitely is.
Okay.
This is one of the reasons this is a very common question and a very natural question is, why do you need to go to level 100? Why wouldn't you just go to level 95? You'll see after every time we knock out an opponent Pokemon, we don't get any experience text box or experience animation. So normally you'd get an extra text box, which is about 1.5 to 2 seconds every time, and then you'd also get that little XP bar going up. We skip all of that at level 100, which is really nice. Additionally, there are Pokemon in this game that will not die at level 95. You do actually need to be level 100 to one-shot them, believe it or not. But yeah, when you fight, you know, a couple hundred Pokemon throughout the course of this game, this category doesn't feature any crazy skips or sequence breaks yet. So you're still fighting all the required trainers, all the required Pokemon. So skipping that level up animation and that experience text, that saves multiple minutes throughout the run. So yeah, from here we're really just going ham, going to town. If you play this game casually, you might have traumatic memories of this specific fight, because this Brendan will destroy you, or May if you're playing as the guy.
I'm glad it's not just me. I didn't, because obviously, you know, the internet was different back then. I was like, why can't I beat Brendan? What is wrong with me?
Yes, very hard fight. Even in the glitchless speedrun, yeah, this fight is very brutal. It's improved a lot over the years, but in glitched, it's honestly kind of cathartic being a glitched and a glitchless speedrunner. I love this route because I just get to destroy all of the trainers that make me pull my hair out in the glitchless category, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to take 1 second and just say that we do have other incentives going on even tonight that you can donate to. I know that we closed the bid war for the Tentacruel name, so you can't get your money in for that anymore. But we do have the worst vegetable poll, which will be going on. I think that's going to generate a lot of donations. We also have an incentive for Super Smash Bros. 64, which is tonight. And you can get in on that. That'll be to do all the bonus stages after the run. So, fun little incentive, you know. Get your donations in. We are $30 away from that. And we're $60 away from doing Yoshi's Woolly World, where I will be PG the whole time. So, Bob's your uncle on that one.
PG gaming. Very exciting.
I'm a New Yorker, so it's a handicap, you know.
All right, and now we have the highlight of the Gen 3 Hoenn games, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. In my opinion, the best part, the Mach Bike. This thing is fast. This is like the fastest bike in any Pokemon game ever. It is hard to control. You'll lose runs because of it, but when you do it right, it is incredibly satisfying and looks really stylish. I will try my best to not mess up too much, but no promises. But in this category, it is very important to do that movement as well as possible, because there's so much less variance because you're just one-shotting everything the vast majority of the time. Excellent. All right, one thing that we cannot one-shot through, even at level 100, is Detect and Protect, which are moves that basically just block all damage for a turn. That Meditite does have Detect. Luckily did not go for it. It's a 1 in 4 chance, I believe. to use Detect on any given turn. So there's still a little bit of RNG here and there. But yeah, the execution side of things is so crucial now compared to Glitchless, where you might lose, you lose a second or two messing up on the bike or being a little slow with your mashing, but then you lose like 20 seconds because you got critical hit or you got paralyzed or something on a random fight. So it's like the execution doesn't seem as important in comparison. But in this run, every second counts past this point because you're not going to be saving a ton of time on anything and you're not going to be losing a ton of time on anything. Another factor that we consider a lot for this run is extra text boxes, because again, there's such little variance that we need to squeeze out every second that we can out of each of these fights. And so anytime you click a move that is not very effective or is very effective on a Pokemon, on an opponent, it'll display a text box that says, oh, it's not very effective, or it's super effective. And that costs an extra, 1.5 to 2 seconds every time you do that. So we always want to avoid that whenever possible. Sometimes it's not possible, but the route has come a long way, and we avoid that pretty much everywhere we can, which is very cool. One of the kind of consequences of that is the fact that we're using Constrict. I didn't even really know that this move existed until I started running routing this category. It is a 10 base power normal move, and that's about it. Very, very weak. I don't even know if there are any weaker moves in the game. This might be the weakest move in the game. But because we're level 100 and it's a normal type move, it allows us to hit things for neutral damage, so no extra text boxes, and it'll still kill. So like this, not this Numel. Well, actually, yes, this Numel. The only other moves we could use would be Acid, which Numel resists, so it'd be an extra text box. Same with this this Roselia we could Acid, but for that Numel, it would be not very effective from Acid, which is a poison type move, and it would be super effective from Bubble Beam. So Constrict is like the perfect balance of a move that isn't super effective, but is not very effective. So that works out really well for a lot of those Numels. And being that we're... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We're playing Ruby, so those text boxes will come up a lot because there are so many Numels.
I was gonna ask, is that why we don't learn something like... Because, like, you had the chance to learn Hydro Pump at level 55, and you didn't, and, like, Water Pulse exists, or Surf exists, right? So it's like, it's because they would do super, and you would lose time on the text boxes. That's why we're using Constrict.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So there are other moves that we could teach. Hydro Pump has some uses, but it is only 80% accurate, so it's pretty inconsistent. But we also really just don't need it for this point in the game. It is like twice as strong as Bubble Beam, but Bubble Beam is one-shotting everything anyways. There are cases where we'll teach stronger moves, because things will stop dying to, a 10 base power Constrict, which that'll come up in a little bit. But yeah, basically exactly like you said, we really want Constrict to avoid hitting things with extra text boxes. Oh, and also a good point in chat. It only has 5 PP, which in Pokemon, that's the number of times that you can use a given move until you heal it somewhere, like at a Pokemon Center or something like that. So it'd be a little bit hard to justify keeping it for so long in the run when you're really only going to be able to use it like 5 times.
Right.
In that previous section, you see me getting off or on and off the bike, or I guess off and on the bike, or both pretty quickly. This is another form of passing those trainers without having any chance of them seeing you. It's a little bit tricky. The timing is kind of hard. It's like a 7-frame window of time that you have from getting off the bike, or from stopping to getting on the bike and then moving again. So it's definitely not a free trick, but it does save like 5 or 6 seconds every time you do it successfully. All the trainers in this game work slightly differently, but some of them you just can't pass as easily as others. Okay, and I know I've been talking so much about not hitting these things for extra text boxes, but we did have to do it on that Numel. Constrict. We're 80 levels higher than this freaking Numel, but it is actually not guaranteed to die to Constrict. It is a chance to die to Constrict. So we'll lose a couple seconds here just for the sake of consistency. We do also have Wrap. We haven't really talked about that yet. It's also a very bad move. But unlike Constrict, it is inaccurate. Yeah, as Damon pointed out in chat, it is 85%, which, you know, a little bit better than Hydro Pump. But not much better. It's also only 15 base power normal type, so it's not a huge step up from what we already have.
It looks like the best thing that Tentacruel possibly learns is Bubble Beam, and this thing doesn't know it.
This does have Bubble Beam.
Oh. Oh, super effective.
Yeah, but it would be super effective on...
Got it.
Numel.
I'm learning.
Exactly.
I'm learning.
We learn something new every day. I hope everybody in the audience has learned that this game is very weird sometimes. Yeah, that Camerupt, for example, is not going to die to a Constrict or a Wrap, which is the only thing we could use that wouldn't be not very effective or super effective. So we kind of just have to take the extra text box on that one. We'll get our next move relatively soon. Probably about 10 minutes or so. So not too much longer. Yeah, like we said, Constrict is really just not cutting it anymore. We need to save these text boxes wherever possible. This is one of my least favorite fights in the glitchless category, so I love just spamming one move over and over, and just winning this fight. Very kind of small detail to point out, or two, I guess. So for one, as I mentioned earlier, like with the nicknames, the game prints one letter every frame. So even though you might use two moves and they might have the same amount of text boxes, one move might be faster than another, just because it has a shorter name, for example. Secondly, the English version of the game has differences from the Japanese version of the game, which is what this was originally developed for. This route was originally made for. This Torkoal actually would not die to an acid on the Japanese version of the game. It has a different nature, which affects some of its stats. But on English, we can just spam acid, and everything will just get one shot. Very convenient. Alright, and here we have kind of a long backtracking section. Yeah, kind of the longest backtracking portion of the game, so I'm just gonna focus on my movement for a bit. Here we get strength. As a little bit of an inside scoop to the development of this route, we're actually really close to being able to skip this backtracking section. We can almost use an extension of the tile corruption glitch to warp back to Petalburg instead of doing all this tedious movement. Okay, did all the hard parts perfectly there, and then of course I immediately bonk on a fence.
Sounds about right.
Yep. And I bonk on a sign. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, there's like 3 different trainers that you're dodging kind of all throughout that section, and those are really the hard parts, and then of course I do that all perfectly and then bonk on the most random things imaginable. That's kind of just how this game goes sometimes. Coming up is Norman's Gym, which is our 5th gym battle, our 5th badge coming up. For those of you that aren't aware of the plot in this game, Norman is actually our dad. He spends basically all of his time at the gym though, so we really only see him at his gym. But at the start of the game, when he kind of forces us into that battle tutorial sort of thing, he says, I won't fight you right now, you're not strong enough. Come back when you have at least 4 badges, and then I'll fight you. We are going to make him pay for insulting our strength. We came back with a much stronger Pokemon than what we had. And we'll be showing him who's boss.
Oink! We did get a $20 donation just now from Anonymous. So we're only $10 away from this incentive for Smash. So come on. Come on. You got it. You guys got it. I believe in you. Who doesn't like to Smash 64, please?
I would love to see Smash 64.
Blue Magma is out here killing it for y'all. Killing it.
10 more.
Estat debut.
Alright, this is kind of an example of... I know I said earlier we kind of want to use shorter moves with shorter names to avoid those extra frames of text. We really can't for this fight. This is another fight that it was probably very hard for casual players. Slacking has the stats of essentially a legendary Pokemon. It is crazy, crazy strong. It is very, very bulky as well. The only thing that keeps it down is its ability Truant, which means that it can only actually attack every other turn. So it hits like a truck turn 1, but then can't do anything turn 2, which is kind of an interesting gimmick for a Pokemon, but it does make it pretty hard to deal with for a speedrun. So we do actually have to use Bubble Beam instead of Acid, even though Acid would be a little bit faster. It actually just will not go down to an Acid.
Is this a good pace? Like, put this in perspective to like a PB pace run for you.
Okay, so my PB is currently the world record. We are only about 2 minutes behind that right now, so this is a very solid run.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what is the world record?
The record is... Oh, sorry.
Take your time.
Scrolled to the wrong part there. Alright, and now Kitsune gets a big upgrade. No more Constrict. We get a 70 base power normal move instead of a 10 base power move.
Okay.
And then we get, as you mentioned earlier, big move Surf. I love Surf. It's 95 base power. Water type move, so it gets that extra 1.5 times bonus if you're the same type as the move that you use. Surf really hard carries for the rest of the run. It does so much damage.
I was in the right direction.
Yes. You knew that move is too good to pass up. It's also required to progress through the game, so...
Not to brag or anything, you know, I played some Pokemon back in my day.
Yeah. On the Game Boys or whatever it's called.
Back in my day, I used to have to hang out underneath a lamp.
So, yeah, your question earlier. The current world record is a 152.36 by me. And this is probably on pace to be a 154 or so. Probably a high 154. If things go well from here on out. Although I might take some safety strats, so it might end up being a low 155. Immediately, we see the use of Facade. Constrict would not be killing these Numels. This is actually a case where Sapphire has a small benefit, because it can just use Acid on these. These would be Carvanas in Sapphire, but they're Numels in Ruby because we're fighting Team Magma instead of Team Aqua. So Sapphire does have some small benefits, but is overall slower. So it's kind of a give and take. Yeah, we are on pace to be faster than the glitchless world record, though, which is honestly always my goal. Having glitched faster than glitchless, you know, if it wasn't, there wouldn't be much of a reason to run the glitched category. So the fact that we can do a marathon run and still have it be faster than the world record for glitchless is very cool to me. The world record for glitchless is such an insanely good run. Wave Warrior, the guy that has it, is an amazing Pokemon speedrunner. He has a lot of world records. Alright, one thing I forgot to point out earlier that we just saw here is Clear Body, which is another benefit to our Queen Kitsune here. I really love that it happens to have this ability. The fact that it lines up like this is just so cool. Clear Body prevents you from having your stats dropped at all during battle. So that applies to any stat like accuracy. So sand attack wouldn't work on us. It applies to other abilities like intimidate. So intimidate does not work on us, which there are a ton of intimidate users in this game because the Team Aqua and Team Magma leaders, they all have Mighty Innas, and the admins do as well. So there's probably like 7 or 8 instances where we would normally get intimidated, but Clear Body prevents it. It might not seem necessary just because, you know, we're level 100, but normally when your stats go down, you get a little animation on your Pokemon to indicate it, and Clear Body skips that, so even if it wouldn't matter for the actual fight, it does save time.
Can I jump in with a quick donation?
Yes. Please.
We got a $10 donation from Acid saying go faster, please.
Thank you very much, Acid. I will try.
And with
my
that,
best.
I do believe that funded yes, it did. So we have reached the goal for all bonus stages in Smash 64. Hot dog.
Let's go. Very excited to.
$15 away from $27.50.
$27.50. Let's go, dude.
I was such a slow kid. I didn't know why this place was called Fort Tree City. I was like an adult. It was like a week ago. I was like, because there's tree forts. I swear, it was like the hamster had died and inertia had just moved it around in a circle, and I finally got a little spark.
What the heck is a re? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's like, what are they talking about? Why is this place a jungle? That doesn't make any sense.
Alright, and that is our last run to bike in the game, which is that that method of passing trainers I mentioned earlier. It's like the hardest method of passing a trainer in this game. And we're done with those now, so the route gets a lot safer from here. Not too much that can go wrong unless we really just click the wrong move or something. Or mess up one of the puzzles. That is, you know, I don't want to say it's impossible, but I have done these, I have done the puzzles quite a few times, but never say never.
It's funny because in my head, you can't beat the rest of the game in 50 minutes. Like, in my head. I'm like, I know where you are. This doesn't make any sense. You're going for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be, yeah, right about 40 minutes to beat the game from here, which is pretty crazy.
Also, I did not know that Kirby was dressed as Link. Sword Kirby was dressed as Link. Did you know that?
You know, I didn't know if it was intentional or if it was just a coincidence, but I like to believe it was intentional.
It's probably intentional, but Dayman's dropping knowledge on me and I didn't know that.
We're learning so many new things today. This is such an educational stream. I love it.
You're telling me. I'm my mind is just giga brain today.
Yeah.
All right.
We've expanded.
What do you think is the better evil team? Is it Team Magma or Team Aqua?
Oh, there's a poll going on in chat. Okay, I actually got this question asked earlier today in my stream. Slightly differently. If I had to join one, I would join Team Magma. But the one that's better, I think, is Aqua. So I would vote Aqua in the poll, but if I had to join one, I would join Magma.
we just got a $20 donation from Blue Jay that says Blue Mag 2 Flex. So thank you for that $20.
Thank you very much, Blue Jay.
Only $40 away from hitting that make me PG tomorrow during the kid run. You know? Also, that went towards green beans are the worst vegetable. This is a binding resolution, by the way. This will become the official position of Speed Dogs. So if you would like to make us hate a very particular vegetable, you have the power.
Wow, I hope to see some very passionate vegetable hate whenever that gets decided.
Green beans make me, if I'm in the room with green beans, projectile vomit.
Wow.
Yeah, like I can't. I was force-fed green beans one time, and it just it ruined my life. Now I'm with this permanent affliction of green beans. You know? You know, some wounds therapy can't heal. That's one of them.
My parents always tell the story of my sister when she was younger went to the pediatrician, and you know, they're all about encouraging healthy eating and all that stuff. So like the doctor asks her like, oh, what's your favorite vegetable to eat? And sometimes my mom will cook green beans with little pieces of bacon cooked in for extra flavor, and of course my sister goes green beans with bacon, and so my doctor or her doctor starts laughing because, you know, that's probably not exactly what they were looking for when they think of a healthy vegetable that you eat. But you know, if it gets kids to eat their greens, then I guess a little bit of bacon can't hurt anybody.
Like wrapping bacon in greens. Imagine that's how you get your kids to eat anything, is you wrap it in bacon.
Yeah, So
all right, it's like a dog.
Hey, exactly.
Like, all right,
that's what
Timmy, take your pill. Here's some bacon. This is some bacon wrapped Brussels sprouts, and here's some bacon wrapped asparagus. Some bacon and mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese is already, you know, questionable nutritional value to begin with, so even better.
Yeah, especially when most kids' exposure to mac and cheese is pre-boxed Kraft mac and cheese. Like, they are better off eating Kool-Aid powder.
I love Kraft mac and cheese. I still got that inner child in me.
How old are you?
21. So
listen, you listen, young fella. I'm on the eve of 30. You put a few more winters on you, and then you come back and tell me how you feel about the Kraft mac and cheese. When I started working with my coworker, she used to eat an Uncrustable every day. And now it's been 7 years, and I work with her every day, and I tease her about it, and she says if she even sees one, she's gonna throw up.
Wow.
So, you know, that's some indoctrination right there.
That is a lot of Uncrustables.
That's a lot of peanut butter and jelly.
Made a slight error there. I forgot to teach fly earlier, so we just had to teach it right there. This is the other big detour in this run. We actually go out of our way to get Sludge Bomb from this guy, which is I want to say it's 90 base power, but someone might be able to correct me in chat. Which is a big upgrade from... I flew to the wrong place. I'm a little out of it tonight. I apologize.
How dare you?
I know. Making a mistake.
Those poor children. All right, kids, the marathon's off. Blue Magma just didn't have the juice.
Listen, we're fine, we're fine. We're still on sub glitchless pace, so it's okay. I think. Actually, it might be kind of close. It might come down to the wire. The current glitchless world record is 156.50. So the glitched world record is about 4.5 minutes faster, give or take. But yeah, Sludge Bomb might seem like kind of an odd choice, just being that, you know, Facade is kind of nice because it's just given to you. You have to get it after you beat Norman. So there's really no reason not to teach it because it does avoid so many extra text boxes that teaching it is like 10 or 15 seconds, so really not that much time. It ends up being worth it in the long run. But Sludge Bomb is a big detour. You gotta fly, you gotta talk to the guy to get it, and all that jazz, and you gotta teach it later. But it does actually manage to save time. On average, it saves maybe 20 seconds, but even in the best case scenario without Sludge Bomb, it still saves about 5 seconds. This is a very new route that I basically finished like yesterday, so it was very, very new, but we've seen it work so far. Really, as a little bit of a spoiler for the end game, there's the Elite Four in pretty much all the Pokemon games, which are like kind of the 4 strongest trainers as a little bit of a gauntlet before the champion, and then once you beat the champion, you become the champion. There are 2 Elite Four members that are a bit of a problem for Tentacruel. Those are Glacia, which is supposed to be an ice type gym leader or Elite Four member, and she is, but most of her Pokemon actually are also water type. 3 out of her 5 Pokemon are water ice type, like they're dual typed. We cannot hit water types very well as Tentacruel. I am gonna get this item just as a backup to be very safe, but normally it's unnecessary. So yeah, Glacia is a bit of a pain without Sludge Bomb. Acid is really just not hitting very hard, being only 40 base power. It's really not enough to take things out very quickly. Facade is really not that much stronger. And Surf, even though Surf is strong, getting that half damage because it's resisted by water means that you're really not doing much either. Even Hydro Pump is not strong enough to one-shot the Pokemon Glacia has. So that's one of the reasons we get Sludge Bomb, is it saves, for one, it saves a whole turn, which is a lot more than just a text box or 2. Saving a turn is very significant. And then the other part of it is normally you would have to use some setup items on a Pokemon that knows Body Slam, and Body Slam is very, very, very annoying because it has a 30% chance to paralyze. So normally we would route 1 full heal, 1 healing item, but if you got Body Slam paralyzed twice in a row, so a 9% chance-ish, if that happened to you, you kind of just lose the run. But Sludge Bomb completely avoids that, so we don't have to get any healing items throughout the entire run, where there's really like no risk of dying, which is really nice. And then a similar concept applies to Drake, which is the Elite Four member after that. He has a lot of dragon types, which dragon also resists water, so it's kind of a struggle to actually get through some of his Pokemon without setting up. Sludge Bomb kind of avoids that. Alright, now we're teaching Dive. We're never really going to use it in battle. It's kind of just convenient to use. Well, you kind of have to use it out of battle. There's no glitches that let us skip it yet. So we just teach it to Marshtomp. We don't want it to take up a slot on our Tentacruel. And there goes this fight. That's all we do. We swapped Marshtomp, sorry. Normally it's Swampert at this point in the game on Glitchless. We swapped Marshtomp to slot 2 so that he is our doubles partner for this battle. This is the only required double battle in the game, although we did one earlier for setting up the glitch. But kind of bringing us back to that topic earlier, that lady completely killed my vibe right there. Sorry. Okay, where was I? Going back to that topic of experience text boxes earlier, that is actually a big consideration for that fight because you have to send in another Pokemon, and all your Pokemon are lower level, so they're gonna get a lot of extra levels after you finish that fight. So it's actually a little bit faster, maybe a second or two faster, to have to switch Marshtomp in because he has quite a few more levels than Abra would, and so you get a lot less level ups and a lot less animations for each level up. So yeah, just kind of going through puzzles here. Not too much to talk about at this point in the game. Not yet, at least. These frustrated me a lot as a kid, but they're not too big of a deal anymore now that I've done them a million times. This one does still frustrate me though. I hate this specific boulder. I will walk these tiles and nobody can stop me. I know it's wastes like half a second, but there have been so many times where I barely hold the up button for too long, or I don't buffer my movement correctly, and then I push a boulder into the wrong spot and then the whole puzzle is broken. I have to leave the room and come back in and do the whole thing again, which loses like 10 seconds. It's just what I do now, because especially when you're on a good run, there's a lot of nerves, and it's really easy to mess that movement up. You know, gamers that are better than me, they do the optimal movement every time, and you know, more power to them, but it's not for me. I can still get world record without it, so we'll take the small time loss. I love this Team Magma theme, by the way. Okay, I accidentally clicked the wrong move on this, which is fine. It just means we use one extra text box here. Just a minor misclick. So yeah, great plot point of the game. Both of the Team Aqua and Team Magma leaders are very dumb. At least in their respective games, like in Ruby, Maxie is kind of dumb, and in Sapphire, Archie's kind of dumb. And then the opposite one is kind of like the voice of reason. But for whatever reason, Archie, or Maxie in this game, thinks that the blue orb will help him control the giant red, glowing red, very bright red dinosaur creature that has immense power. I don't know why he thinks the blue orb is best for that. But that was his plan, and it did not work. As you can see, there's now incredibly bright sunlight everywhere. The world is going to dry up. He probably should not have used that orb, if I'm gonna be honest. So now we gotta go fix his mistakes. You could give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's colorblind. Which, you know, that's fair. But he does call it the blue orb. So it seems like he does know the difference. But, you know, maybe not. Maybe that's just how it's labeled or something. I don't know if it's got like a sticker on it. That's a very clean movement section there, by the way. Not to humble brag or anything, but... The Mach Bike, how it works is you kind of start out slow and then build speed over a few tiles, and then you reach your maximum speed. And you keep it unless you stop or slow down. If you slow down, it also takes a little while to come to a complete stop. So there's kind of a lot of stuff we do to take advantage of the Mach Bike as much as possible. Like when we want to stop instantly, we'll bonk into a wall intentionally. Because it'll make us stop without having to go through that slowing down. At full speed, it goes at 4 frames, sorry, 4 frames per tile, which is very fast. Basically, if you want to do, you know, perfect movement, you have a 4-frame window to turn left or right or whatever. On that specific tile. Alright, we get our last set of upgrades here. Waterfall and Surf, which, you know, Surf is just strictly better in terms of power and stuff. But we kind of need the PP. We're a little bit low on moves, and you know, healing is slow. Getting an item like an ether is slow. So, and we need to use waterfall anyways to actually, you know, climb the waterfall to get to the end of the game. So it's kind of a win-win. Oops. Okay, this is like the one puzzle that could kind of kill us. It's pretty straightforward, but hopefully I don't mess it up. Yeah, the glitchless route, which is on Sapphire, so it gets Kyogre instead of Groudon, does actually catch the Kyogre. It doesn't just, you know, say hello and then immediately say goodbye. And that RNG manipulation is incredibly difficult because it's like the last super important execution of the run. So this category is much more relaxed once you get past the early game. You don't have to worry about any of that difficult RNG manipulation in the late game, which is pretty nice.
We're just bulldozing them.
Yep, we are.
We're a Mack truck.
We've upgraded.
In Emerald, isn't the last trainer, gym leader, and the Elite Four different? I forget.
Yes, so the guy that we're fighting right now is, in Emerald, he's the champion, but in this game, he's just the 8th gym leader.
Right.
Yeah, he got a big promotion in Emerald for whatever reason. In Emerald, the 8th gym leader is Juan.
I received as a child for my birthday, for my 10th birthday, both Ruby and Sapphire.
Wow.
And so I never had Emerald because I could not think of a reason to buy the game a third time. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had Emerald either. It was such a long time ago that I don't really remember which one I got first. I'm pretty sure I got Ruby.
I'm doing some math here. You're 21.
I was very young when I first got these.
I'm about to say this game came out when you were 1.
I was
2?
like, yeah, this game came out basically the same time that I was born in Japan, and then I was like 1 when it released in North America.
You were born after 9/11.
Yes.
God, I'm old. You're running in my event.
Yep.
Oh my God. Not to be a Debbie Downer, y'all, but I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I remember being in high school and my teachers would be like, you kids don't remember 9/11. I'm like, the fuck I don't. We're in New York, motherfucker. We remember. It's like our Alamo, you know? Never forget.
True.
Wow. You're gonna blaze through the Elite Four, huh? You're gonna crush them.
Yep, we got like 15 minutes, but we're gonna beat the game in that time, basically. I think that this run is very just like, as a Pokemon speedrunner, it's very aesthetically pleasing to me. Just the fact that we have 2 water type moves and 2 poison type moves, and that's all we need to beat the game, is very fun. Yeah, and just kind of steamrolling through everything. This movement is incredibly difficult. If I haven't complained enough about the Mach Bike, already. It's even harder here because we cannot see, except for that little circle around us. Yeah, doing this movement on its own is already very hard, and then doing it under pressure, if you're on a very good run, is incredibly hard. A little bit of a small time loss there. You might have noticed, if you have a keen eye, that most trainers that we fight, we want to actually talk to them. We don't want them to see us. And that's because they get that little exclamation point over their head, and they play their little jingle and stuff. And that's actually avoidable if you talk to them directly. That Ninetales has a chance to use Quick Attack, which it did. Slightly annoying for time loss, but does 8 damage out of 300 almost, so I think we'll be okay. Oh, very good question in the chat. What happens if you use the question mark item? Unfortunately, it does not do anything at the moment that we can find. We haven't found a use for it. This game has actually been decompiled, so we can actually kind of look into the code of the game and see what exactly these items are. Unfortunately, they didn't code any specific behaviors for these glitched items. So it doesn't do anything, but you can equip it to your Pokemon, which is cool, and you can, you know, give it to other Pokemon if you want. Like you could use Trick and give it to your opponent if you really wanted to. The kind of the complicated reason why we get that item is, I mentioned earlier when we were first setting up the glitch way back when, like an hour ago, that the game has an invalid ID for this item, but it's in the mailbox, so it still kind of treats it like it's a mail. The reason the item is invalid is we don't entirely understand this part yet, but when you kind of have that 7th piece of mail on your Pokemon and you take it away, the game is supposed to pull a certain number from memory, and that's what determines what the item ID is. And that item ID is what tells the game, okay, this is a rare candy, or this is a piece of mail, or this is a Master Ball, which we didn't get in this run, by the way, which is kind of cool. Just skip right by it. Whenever you unequip that 7th mail, the game tries to get that number, but it gets it from a kind of unintended place in memory, which is it's kind of like how the tile corruption works, where it's pulling from a spot in memory that you normally are not supposed to. So based on the area that you're in, the internal item ID of that question mark item will actually change. So in theory, if there was an area that had an ID of, or if there was an area and the number happened to be 23 for that area, you could just get a rare candy with that glitch, or you know, you could get a Master Ball. You could, if the area existed that had the correct number, you could get whatever item you want. Unfortunately, all of the areas in the game, the numbers are too high, so all of the kind of glitched items that you spawn are always going to be just question mark items, which unfortunately don't do anything. Another thing we saw there that not even level 100 can prevent is Fake Out. Fake Out's a priority move, so it always goes first. And it can only be used on the first turn that you send it in. So it's not super overpowered, but it will always make you flinch, which means you cannot act that turn. So it basically just wastes a turn, and there's not much we can really do to avoid it. It's kind of just random if he goes for it or not. Alright, I was considering saving for this next section, but I'm actually not going to, because everything is going very well. We shouldn't have anything to be scared of. We should just be able to sweep everything.
YOLO!
YOLO!
Do the
That's
kids
what
still
we
say
do
YOLO?
I think so. You know,
Back in my day, we had silly bands.
okay, I had silly bands too.
All right,
fair.
bet, respect. In 7th grade, I had silly bands and I had Smensels. Did you have Smensels?
I did have Smensels. I feel like these must like recirculate every few years. Okay, I maybe should have saved. I did not think about that. No, we're fine. Actually, here we go. I'm very glad I got a full heal from this thing earlier. This is kind of tricky. Okay, no, we're fine. Waterfall here and then surf. I specifically have one extra surf PP routed into this just in case something happens. So we should still be fine. That was a little bit sketchy though.
It's fine.
Yeah, not even worried. We gotta listen. This whole run is just us sweeping through everything. We gotta make it a little bit intense, right? Can't be free.
Yeah. Smensels. I'd sit in the back of my history class and I'd just huff the tube. I'm like, spearmint.
Takes me back. The good old days. Back in like 2000, how old was I? I don't know, 2012?
I graduated high school that year.
Oh, goodness.
God. Now I'm going down memory lane. I was in the grocery store the other day, and I was like, oh, they played this song at my prom. And I was like, they played this song too. And then I was like, oh no. And I was like, these songs are so old. Yeah, Kitsune, we're like the same age, I think. That or you're a wonderkin. I had to repeat preschool, so, you know. I was also an emo kid, so, you know. Well, on the inside.
So yeah, fight used to be really
2 more
annoying.
battles?
Two more. Almost done. But yeah, that last fight used to be really annoying without Sludge Bomb. That we did actually have to set up on it using an X attack, and then again, this is our second and final setup move of the run. And there shouldn't be anything that can go wrong from here. I hope I didn't jinx it.
Ride that surf! Kitsune, my birthday's November. Oh my god, do we have the same birthday? Jinx. Mwah. So really, there's nothing that can stop you.
Okay, so I mentioned way back when we got the Tentacool that this one is the one with slightly worse special attack, which might have been a consequence of me taking those couple extra steps earlier on. Might have been a side effect of that. Or I actually might have taken less steps than I was supposed to. I think everything is still guaranteed to die on this fight. So we should be fine. With the stronger Tentacool, which is the one that you would normally get, you are just done at this point. There's nothing that can stop you. You press Surf 6 times and you win. Only threats here are the Metagross and the Cradily. Those things are pretty bulky and are not weak to water. So those are the things that can live if they have a chance to live. Those would be the boys. I love Aggron. It's my favorite cry in all of Pokemon, maybe. Okay. One more, come on. Please die. Okay, we are good. Woo! We've done it. I was a little concerned there. Yeah, exactly. It is like a train. I love it so much. It's very badass. And that's it. Now we just mash.
Mash!
And then, of course, the professor is like, oh, you know, you caught 7 Pokemon. You might want to work on that. We will not work on that. Sorry. This is all we need. Thank you very much for all the GGs in chat. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this run was an absolute pleasure, so thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you very much, Speed Docs, for having me. It was a blast to be on here.
71 Harbor Mail?
Kitsune, our queen, in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, hell yeah!
And time will be when we fade to black here. Dude, what a beautiful Hall of Fame. Honestly, they all pulled their weight. they all contributed.
I think Abra deserves a special nod.
That is time. Abra was the, you know, the stick of dynamite or plutonium behind all of this. You know, just generating rare candies out of thin air, converting paper to sugar.
Like all good plants.
Yeah. Yeah, actually. Abra learned photosynthesis.
It's super effective. Do you have anything you want to say before we get you out of here? Any shout outs? Anything you want to plug?
Thanks everybody for, you know, for being here today. Thanks for the donations, of course, to save the children. It's a great cause. Huge thanks to Mind of Damon. He's in chat. He did so much work for testing these glitches and developing the route. It's my Twitch is Blue Magma 7. Sorry about that.
Rip.
I made the original account but cannot get back into it, so it's a little embarrassing every time that happens. It's
Well, in 2 minutes we're gonna give you another shout out.
Yeah. No problem.
It's all good.
There it is.
Hey.
So yeah, huge thanks to him. Huge thanks to everybody else that helped with these glitches. Again, this is like a very, very new route and a very, very new kind of category. So there's improvements being made every day. There's new glitches being found like every day. We're really just gonna keep trying to find new stuff until we can find something that breaks this game even more. I really want to find a sequence break, you know, skipping that waterfall before the Victory Road would be really cool. So we've been really hard at work on that. And I think it's coming soon. We've been finding a lot of cool stuff. It's just a matter of finding a way to apply it in the speedrun. So if you're interested in that, if you want to learn more about the glitches, even if you just want to do them in your casual playthroughs or just for fun, you can join the Pokemon Speedrunning Gen 1 through 3 Discord. I post kind of the basic information there, and then if you want to be up to date with like what we're finding day to day, my personal Discord is where I post most of that stuff. It's where I, you know, post anything I find that I'm experimenting with, and all that good stuff. And then, yeah, if you want to see more runs of this, I stream on Twitch at Blue Magma 7. So yeah, that's about it.
All right, well, thank you so much for sharing this with us. This was a treat. You are welcome back anytime. There's the shout out for you. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause. We're going to pay some bills to keep the lights on. When we get back, we'll be getting ready for our final run of day 4, the first day of weekend 2. That'll be Super Smash Bros. 64. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Very excited to watch that.